Hello, good morning, everybody. This is April. I am the host of The Positive Effect, brought to you by Retail U. And today I am really excited to bring Dean Correia, I think I'm saying his last name right, on. He's going to be joining us in a minute. He's just jumping off another live right now and messaged me to let me know he's going to be joining momentarily. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before he jumps on to share his retail journey, just to update you on a few things that are going on at Retail U right now. If you've just found us, this weekly broadcast goes live every week, and I bring on retail leaders to share their leadership journey and career experience to really inspire and connect with you guys in my audience. And it's been a great experience so far. We've had so many people join every week and just highlighting people's careers and really talking about leadership. And I really truly believe today the future of retail is, yes, we understand that tech and product and marketing and all these things are important, but the future of retail really depends on how you invest in your people and making sure that talent's supported, because an engaged customer experience comes from an engaged team, and that comes from an engaged leader. And so at Retail U, we really focus on leadership development for field leadership. And right now we've launched a coaching certification program for field leaders. We're in a beta group, but this is just some really great, exciting stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, and hopefully he's going to join and not make me ramble too long by myself. So I'll check in with him just to see where he's at. But hey, Fabiani, nice to see you. So happy that you join us every week on The Positive Effect. My name's April. Again, if you're just joining, I am the founder of Retail U, as well as an experienced retail executive that grew up from shop floor all the way up to a vice president of 250 stores in Canada. And I wrote a book called The Positive Effect. And The Positive Effect is all about your effect as a leader in the world of retail. And in this book, I share my story, my lessons learned, and everything to hope inspire a new generation of retail leadership. And so, yeah, this week, we're going to have Dean coming on momentarily to share his, hey, Sylvia, nice to see you again, too. We're going to have him joining us. Now, Dean has had a very long career in retail, actually. He has headed up Starbucks, security, and Walmart's. He's actually an author of the People and Asset Protection course on Retail U, which is an amazing course. So, and right now, particularly security and safety is really, really critical part of your business, especially if you're leading store teams, or if you're in the stores, or you're a district manager, regional manager. So we're going to learn from him today and his experience. So yeah, he's going to be joining us momentarily. But nice to see you guys again this week. It's so exciting. It's a month of women, celebrating women, which is awesome in retail as well. There's so many women retailers in leadership. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So we're just hanging on, waiting for Dean to jump off his other live, to jump on this. And this is what happens with lives, right? When you go live, and you got to hang on and wait for people to join. So we're going to hopefully get him on in just a minute. But yeah, nice to see you guys. If you guys have any questions, you can throw your question in the chat while we're sitting here waiting for him to join. Any questions you have that you would like to ask him or me today, I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, and there's somebody else that says, always excited to hear you every week, but I don't see your name. So if you want to drop in the chat, where you're dialing in from, where you're coming in from, that would be also awesome too, because retail is such a amazing network globally around the world. So, and Jane's sitting in the background, helping us out, not wanting to jump on screen. Oh, another thing. Hey, Brett, nice to see you. So we have just started a Clubhouse group, actually, as well, called Retail U. So if you're not on Clubhouse, you need to be on Clubhouse. The retail network is growing quite rapidly on Clubhouse, retail leaders, where you can jump on and talk to us, talk to panels of different career leaders with retail leaders with experience. And so you could join. if you do not have a Clubhouse invite, you want to send me one in the chat right now. Send me a Clubhouse invite. And we have quite a few because we've gone on for a bit. So we can add you guys in to our Clubhouse group. We can just send you an invite through LinkedIn. So if you want to do that as well. Amazing. Dean's jumping on. I'm not going to be rambling, talking to myself. All right, Dean, I'm so excited.
Thanks. Sorry I'm late, April. I
had
to help a customer. You know how that goes.
I know how that goes. Brilliant. I love it.
Because I've been excited for weeks since you asked me to join. I can't even stand it.
I was like rambling by myself. I'm like, he's leaving me hanging. I'm like, I work in retail my whole life, so I can talk.
That's it. Just pretend you have a customer. Just pretend you have a customer in front of you, right? So
that's it. So anyway, I'm so excited that you jumped on and joined us. I was like, he's on another appointment. He's going to jump on any minute. I'm like, it's all good. So yeah, everybody knows, pretty much, like, if you don't know me, you can find me. My name's right here, so you can follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Clubhouse. But I'm super excited today. These conversations are really to bring to life retail leaders that have had amazing careers and had a really positive effect on the businesses and the people they lead. And Dean's one of those people, and I'm just blessed to have such an amazing retail network. So today, it's all about you. I'm going to pick your brain and ask you a ton of questions. We've got about half an hour to chat, so I'm going to try and get as much out of you as we can. So if you want to start off, Dean, sharing who you are and a bit about your story, that would be amazing.
That'd be terrific. So thanks again, April, and kudos to you for launching this tool. So my name is Dean Correia. I'm in the Toronto area. My background is 20 years of operations in corporate security, all in Canada. 4 years with Gap in operations, a little bit of loss prevention at the end, and then 13 with Starbucks, where I started in the stores again, which we'll get to later, which is critical. Yeah. And then I had the privilege of building the security teams for Starbucks in Canada and Latin America. And then 3 years with Walmart Canada as their director of corporate security. And I've been on my own as a outsourced retail loss prevention consultant since 2011. And my story, like most, is I fell into retail. I was at Sheridan College, 3-year business program. And there was a recruiting workshop, and I really, really wanted a job with TD Bank as an assistant manager. And,
wow.
And I also interviewed with the Gap at the same time. And so I had 3 interviews with the TD Bank, didn't get it. And the Gap called me and said, would you like an assistant manager job with us? And they were just coming to Ontario. So I said, sure. I never worked retail in my life, and I loved it. Started as an assistant manager and then operations manager, helped open a bunch of stores. I ended up working at the Eaton Center, which on Boxing Day is a whole nother story for another day. For many, many years. And then I started getting the loss prevention bug. So didn't know what it was at all, but all I knew is we spent hours taking these inventories every month, and I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to get more involved in this. I want to make a difference. So I bugged my LP director. I went on tours with her, learned the business, fell in love with it. And then Starbucks came calling because they were coming into the Eastern Canada market in 1996 and didn't even know who Starbucks was. Didn't like coffee. Had no idea, and got the job at Starbucks again. Started in the stores with Starbucks for a year, and then, again, bit by the loss prevention bug. Same sort of idea. Went on some tours, got to know the business, applied, and I've been in loss prevention ever since, and absolutely love keeping people and assets safe every day. That's my big, hairy, audacious goal. I've been through some pretty horrific events, and my big, hairy, audacious goal is to help people come home safely at night. That's it.
And it's really, it's so cool to hear your story, because I started off at Gap too, and then my second stop was Starbucks too, when they opened in the UK. And I didn't drink coffee either. I mean, I'm a tea drinker. I ended up at David's Tea, at the end. but like, British people drink a lot of tea. So yeah, they opened. So yeah, it's kind of funny how, I don't know, like Gap and Starbucks back then was such a good retail school of education, probably still is today, but like we were there at that kind of probably around the same time, just in different time zones and countries. So cool.
So the life lessons that retail gives you, right? You just, and I say, I have adult kids, and I say, just get into a business that you love, learn and absorb every course, and get to know different avenues that you can take. And retail, you learn so many life skills, that take you and help you grow as a person as well as a professional.
Yeah. And your area of expertise has been like super strong partnerships for me in my journey, because just being in operations and running operations, it's like, it was almost like HR and security, you know, loss prevention. Those are the two like major partners. So I'm so excited to have you on today and talk about your career, because I think it's so important. So I've got a list of questions, because I always have a list of questions in front of me because I can talk. We both can, because we've worked in retail. So I'm going to kind of try to stay focused so I can get as much out of you. But my first question to you, Dean, is what inspired you to grow into a retail leadership role?
Yeah, great question. So I just think the impact that I'm able to make on people and the business. You know, I think what's really important in retail, regardless of what function, is it's all about the stores, and we all need to serve the stores every day. So in order to serve the stores, you've got to be with the stores. And what's really helped me grow in my leadership role is I've always, had that strategy and that mantra and embody that with my team. So at Starbucks, we'd work the bar 2 or 3 times a year. We'd, tour at 6 o'clock in the morning and at also 11:30 at night. Walmart, same thing. We'd work the toy aisle during Christmas or whatever it is, because there aren't any cash registers at the office. It's all about the stores, and you have to be with them and learn what their challenges are, and that should drive your strategy. And so that's what's helped me really grow into leadership role, is connecting the service that loss prevention and security provides, connecting it to the mission of the organization, and helping the stores, protect people, safeguard assets, and contribute margin. And that's for us what it's all about. And if my team and I can't articulate that in 30 seconds, then we're not doing our job. So we would tour the stores or work in the stores, and people would ask me or my team, what did you do? And I didn't say, I'm the director of corporate security. And my investigator didn't say, I'm an investigator, or I'm an analyst, or I'm not. We help at Starbucks. We help ensure a safe and secure coffee experience. At Walmart we help merchandise and food get to the stores safely and securely. And that's the answer. And then you can go into the how we do it. But we have to remember, regardless of what role you're in, you're a business enabler first and an expertise in whatever second. But you have to be a business enabler, and you have to learn the business.
I think that's so important for people to hear, especially our audience. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Kareem. Seeing you guys in the chat. Nice to see you again. But I think it's so important for our audience to hear that, because our audience at Retail U is a lot of field operations people that work in the stores. And I always used to get asked in my career, how do I get into an office role, and how do I grow in my leadership career? How do I take on more? And what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say, is very relevant to my career as well. I started off in the stores as well. And I think what you're saying is, regardless of what role you are, be in the support the store, and learn the business from the store. And I think people in HQ need to hear that. And I think people in the field need to hear that. There is no shortcut to growing into more of a leadership role in retail. If you go through whether you come into an office role or whether you're in a store role, you need to learn the business. You need to know and understand your customer, and you need to actually be present with that. And that's what I'm hearing from you, that you actually saw your role really you spent a lot of time in the stores, let's be real. Absolutely. So that you could actually grow in your leadership and support the stores with what they need. And that's what people really need to understand when they want to grow in their leadership. When I grew in leadership in my role, it was because I came from store, and then I wanted to grow to help more stores. That's what inspired me to do it, because I wanted to make a difference to more people. But I was always in the stores. Like you say, I used to be in the stores on a Saturday afternoon. It was my favorite part of the job,
It's the number one thing that's helped me grow, because you get to learn the business, and you get to learn how to help the business. And it also helps you, from a self-actualization point, impact the business. Right? So if we stay in our silos, that's not healthy. So my team and I would go to different huddles. We would go to an operations meeting huddle, or an HR huddle, or an IT huddle, and cross-pollinate and help them understand what we do. Because often with loss prevention and security, we come in after the fact. We come in when there's an incident, or somebody's hurt or killed on the job, or you just lost you just had 7 deposits stolen, or whatever it might be. And we can play that role, but it's also really important to find out, because those incidents will always happen. It's also important for every function to drive the business and the mission proactively, and you can't do that without learning the business.
I think as well, what I'm hearing as well, and you're making me think about this, but I think that people in whatever role you're in as well, reach out to your other partners. Reach out. So if you're not in loss prevention and you're in operations, or you're in HR, you're in marketing, reach out. If you're in a field leadership role, reach out, like invite somebody to a store meeting. When I was in field operations, I would invite people from the office to come to my store meetings so that they could listen and learn. And that always built those good relationships as well, right?
Yeah, and by building your, what I call the security brand, or your functional, whether again, HR, IT, supply chain, whatever function you're in to support the stores, what I didn't realize, but one of my other big aha moments was it helped me recruit. People from ops or HR or whatever would say, "Hey, Dean, tell me about loss prevention. Can I join your team?" And are you kidding me? So to have somebody with ops expertise join my team in LP was a dream, and vice versa. Right. I would have some of my LP team grow into an ops role, which is good for the company. Right? It's a win. It's a win-win, and from an attraction, recruitment, and development point of view, it's a huge win for everybody if you can cross-pollinate different functions from a career pathing point of view.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so next question. What did you learn throughout your time as, well, I put security advisor because it wasn't really sure, like loss prevention manager, whatever, sure. But like in your roles, what did you learn? Because one of the things that I really want to bring to life on this weekly broadcast is practical things that are going to, like if you're on a conference call and you're writing notes, that's a good thing because, like walking away with things that you can actually action because you're learning from us that have done the job. So what did you learn throughout your time as a security advisor that could help this audience?
Yeah, it's all about the people, and your people are your most important asset. And if the company doesn't walk that talk, then that's a problem. And I've gone through countless exercises, and COVID's been a great example. I mean, I've always told my clients, 14, 15 months ago when COVID started, treat your people well. This too shall pass. No one knows how long it will pass, but they will remember if you supported them or not, if you nickeled and dined them on the expensing of a printer at home or whatever it is. Treat your people first, treat your people well, and the business will take care of itself. That's the bottom line. So from a security standpoint, for me, part of being the best place to work is being the safest place to work. So the number one thing that I learned is my role, key responsibility today and in the past, is helping people understand how this is a safe and secure place to work. You could have the best coffee in the world, the best retail clothing in the world, whatever it is. But if people don't feel that the environment is safe, they're not going to come. And if customers aren't coming, guess what? Employees aren't coming, and they're not calling their friends to come and attracting and retaining talent. So the number one thing that I've learned is to help people understand that we're all in the business of security, and we're all responsible for security and keeping the workplace safe. And the number two thing, the biggest challenge that I've, and I would encourage everyone on the line here to help, talk about this a bit more, is number two is report all incidents. So the number one learning was put people's safety first. Number two is have people report all incidents. Incident underreporting has been a challenge that I think we've faced in retail for 25 years. And if you think you know about all your incidents, I would challenge you, pick a percentage, 60%, 80%, but people don't report for a number of reasons. They don't know how, they don't feel comfortable, or they don't think it's a big deal. And my mantra is have your teams report everything. Anything that causes them fear or concern, please have them report. I mean, I could share war stories for days and situations I've been through, but to me, that's the number two thing, is because then you can build a program that's data-based and not intuitive. And if it's it's got to be, you have to have 17 incident reports on a certain situation before you want to build a program or introduce some new technology. So, the number two thing I've learned is just have your teams and enforce your teams to report all incidents, and then support them 100% when they do report those incidents.
So then how do you, actually you're 100% right. Cause I think it's one of those things, it's like, I'll get to it later. Or you kind of dismiss things. I just saw a comment in the chat. So Darlene said, always take it serious that families trusted we would keep their loved ones safe when they came to work for us. It's 100% true, right? So it's not just about a crisis, like you say, right? It's really about making sure that you're thinking about every small detail.
Absolutely.
And so I think when we say, put people first, can you give us a practical example of how you did that with your team, to train your team to do that? Because it's one thing to say it, but it's like, how do I make that happen?
So a great example would be, my team and I were at a leadership conference in Seattle for Starbucks, the store manager conference, and They were all in the Seattle Needle. If you've been to Seattle, it's kind of like the CN Tower in Toronto.
Yeah.
And we had a huge event. I'd say 600 Canadian store managers, and the buses, all of a sudden conked out on us, the conference buses.
Oh,
So
God.
we had to develop a chain system. So I was in the parking lot, and of course it's raining. So I had a team member at the bottom of the Seattle Needle and a team member at the top of the Seattle Needle. So we had a chain of the person at the top taking money out of an ATM, giving it to one of four, that group of four coming down, and then my team member pointing to a specific cab. And I was just calling every cab in Seattle and just putting our people into a cab, giving them a chit, and I would just put the chits in my pockets, and we were expensive about it later. So we didn't worry about what the cost was. We didn't worry about expensing and reporting, and all the finance people on the line here are probably breaking into hives when I'm saying this. But we just did what we needed to do in that moment to take care of our people. It was late. It wasn't the best environment to be in. We just got them back to our hotel safely. And it wasn't about LP sometimes gets the rub for having too many policies and procedures and being sticklers, and that all went out the window. We had an incident. We need to get 600 people home, and we just did it. And that story was talked about, and my team was thanked for weeks and weeks and weeks. And and that's what it was all about, because we were initially seen as the coffee cops, and then that kind of finally started to break the ice in terms of, wow, you're putting people first and you're caring about people, and it's just showing empathy. People go through tough times, and like Darlene said, it's my BHAG is to get people home. So when there's a situation, just show you care. And I've been in interviews and interrogations where people have stolen thousands of dollars. For me, it's good people make bad decisions. I don't judge. I don't know what somebody else's story is. It's just my goal is to gather the facts and report the facts and let the business make the decision. So just show empathy, regardless of what the situation a person's in. And tomorrow's the first day of the rest of their life, right?
I love what Brett's saying too. He said all companies should rename their head office to support center, as they are there to support the retail stores. I think that is just such an easy thing to do. Everybody could do that tomorrow, literally. Just change the name to support center, right? Okay, next question. People in the retail community are always about growing their careers, learning and developing more skills. And people always used to ask me this question, people still ask me this question: what should they be looking for when they're growing their career? So, people say, is it the brand? Is it the role? Is it the position? I get asked this a lot, especially now there's a lot of people out of work or looking for new roles. So what did you look for when you were growing in your career, excuse me, from where you got to, when you grew your career path up into higher leadership? Like, what did you look for to grow your career? Because I truly believe career growth comes from the individual.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I drove it primarily. I didn't wait. I scheduled my monthly one-on-ones with my manager. I did my own 360, even though it wasn't part of the formal company process. I chose a mentor in legal. I'm completely uncomfortable with legal, but I chose a mentor in legal. I chose a mentor in IT. I need my son to help me turn on my laptop when I first got my laptop. I'm not kidding. So I chose mentorships, and I developed my own personal development plan. And even though, again, it wasn't a formal process. So you're right. Just drive your own development, ask to go on tours, ask to stretch yourself. And it's a multi-pronged approach. It's YouTube, it's podcasts. I mean, for me, I listen to 2 TED Talks every day. I read 4 books a year. So it's multi-pronged. And I think to grow, always have your ear close to the business, and make sure that your objectives as a functional leader drive the company's big 3. And if you can't explain that in a minute, how you're driving the company's big 3 objectives for the year, then you need to think about your objectives, I think. So all of that's helped me grow, all of that.
I like the thing that you shared about having a 360, even if it wasn't a formal process. You're making me think about an example that when I was a store manager back in Miami, I actually had a box in the break room, and it had, anonymous feedback. And I would print out my own questionnaires, and I would do things like rate my leadership skills 1 to 10. And then I would list all the managers underneath it. And then we would ask, what was good in the store, what was not good, and all these different questions. And people would fill it out on their breaks and just put it in the box. And that wasn't a formal process back then, but I did that too, because I felt like if I wanted to be better, I needed to hear from the people that worked for me, because I felt like I was only going to be as good as my team, and I worked for them. So I think that's a really good tip for anybody listening. Why can't you do that, right? You don't have to wait for a company to put that in place. You can actually do that yourself. There's ways of doing surveys now. I mean, back then we didn't have SurveyMonkey free accounts and stuff like that. It was like typing on the computer and printing things out. But today it's so easy to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
Great advice. Okay, next question. How has your leadership evolved over time? If you think back, I mean, I wrote a book about my leadership evolving over my 20-year career and where I've kind of landed and what I thought got me where I was. But how would you see your leadership has evolved?
Yeah, I think I've become much more vulnerable and much more communicative over time. And I think, you know, my biggest aha is I finally got it through my head that leadership is situational. So it doesn't matter, April, if you and I have worked together for 15 years and you're the VP of Ops, if I'm asking you or partnering with you to do a task that you've never done before, I need to show a different type of leadership to help make you understand that you know what first of all, that you've been trained on it, you can know what the expectations are and you can execute it. So I think the number one thing for me is leadership is situational. Don't assume that somebody can or can't do something, whether they've been on the job 2 weeks or 22 years. It's really that simple, and it's helped me be a better parent, be a better husband, be a better baseball, softball coach. It doesn't matter. Leadership is situational in business, and you need to really take the time to make sure people understand, and it's up to you to clarify your direction.
100%. Excuse me. And I just, excuse me, I need some water. I just remember like when I was first got promoted and I was using my title and thinking I had to know all the answers, right? And I was like, people would ask me and I was like, oh, I'm a manager, I need to know. But as I grew more in role and had to let go of that because I had so many stores, I couldn't know all the answers. So I had to get really comfortable with ambiguity and trusting people and letting go and having more humility. So it's interesting, the more my role got bigger and the more responsibility, the more humility that I had to show and the more vulnerable I became, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, but it is what it is. And so I think anybody watching this wants to grow in their leadership role. Correct. Take that to heart deeply, because I wish that I had known that earlier on in my career. I learned through people giving HR feedback about me that I was surprised by, because I wasn't really aware at that point in my career, but learned from it. So I think that's really important for people to hear. Right?
The other thing too is the more I've grown as a leader, the less I've talked and the more I've listened. So you think of listening and talking as a teeter-totter. I used to talk a lot, and now I listen and then I talk less, because it's about the team and the fulfillment of the team and the growth of the team. So in true servant leadership fashion, you lead and then get out of the way. And for me, I've become a better listener and talked less and understood that's an important part of leadership as well.
And I think being a good listener, and one thing I love about doing these kind of chats for these half an hours is, one thing I learned as well is to be really good at asking questions. Like I read books and studied books about questions, because you only get answers to the questions you ask. And if you want to become a really good listener, you better study how to ask really good questions, right? It's a part of a leadership skill that's so, I think, essential. John Maxwell has a great book about it. There's lots of books about it, but like if you're trying to figure out how to grow even more in your leadership skills, I would encourage you guys to Google some really good books on how to ask great questions.
I completely agree.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
I can hear a phone ringing in the background. I don't know if that's you. Is that you?
That's me. Hold on a second.
This is what happens on live, guys.
This is exactly.
It's real life in a retail shop. That's what it is. Okay. Okay. I have a few questions, but which one? Okay. I want to ask you this. So, what have you felt proud of, and can you share why? Because, you know, when people look at us and look at our roles and look at our LinkedIn profiles, we have a lot of accolades, we have a lot of titles and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I always say there's those proud moments that we all have individually. I shared one last week, and yeah, what's a proud moment for you that you have, and why?
It's simply the growth of my team that I've had the privilege of working with, and they're all still in loss prevention or security. They're all either managers or directors, versus the day they started with me at any one of my companies. And to me, I'm extremely proud. I'm still connected to them personally. You know, we've grown up together. Our kids have grown up together. We've stayed in touch. And to me, it's about the relationships, right? When we're old and gray and sitting on the dock, looking at the sun, drinking a glass of wine, we're not going to remember that you got a exceptional rating on your performance review in 2020, or your bonus was whatever it was in 2015. It's about the people and about relationships. And to me, that's what I'm most proud of, is that I still have those relationships, even though I've been gone many years in those companies, and they've grown and they've impacted hundreds and hundreds of people still in their daily lives. And to me, without question, it's the impact I've had on the people that I've worked with.
So important. Yesterday, I had a guy on Facebook actually message me. He used to be a salesperson on my team, 17 years ago, when I was managing Banana in Dadeland, Miami. And I fired him because he was late constantly. But then he messaged me 10 years later and said, "Thank you so much. I'm now a bank manager. You taught me this crazy lesson, never to be late for, so we're still obviously still connected." And, and then yesterday he messaged me again, and I haven't seen him, talk to him for 6 years. And he was just like, "You've always been an inspiration. I have this going on." And I took the time to connect. Wow, I need water today. Yeah, I took the time to connect with him for 2 minutes, and he's like, "No matter how busy you are," he goes, "you look so busy. You always answer and respond." And I think that's really important, because at the other end of that message, or the other end of that phone, or the other end of a LinkedIn, or the other end of a relationship is a real person.
I agree.
And we love retail because we love people, right? So treat everybody in your team, in your experience, like you would want them to treat your customers. Really, that's what it comes down to.
One other quick story, if I could, about that. So, I did an investigation way back when, and the person admitted to stealing a large sum of money because he was addicted to drugs. So, it was a very empathetic conversation. We moved him out of the business. Literally 3 years later, he called me. He was now in a 12-step program, and part of the 12-step program is you have to make amends. So he said, "Dean, thank you for treating me with the empathy. My life's back on track." And he actually wanted to pay some, give some restitution back to the company. So,
wow.
I mean, that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And you just don't know how somebody's going to really absorb a conversation, positively or negatively. So, the title of this tool is Positive Effect. So just be kind. Just be kind. You don't know somebody else's story.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, my last question, and then we're going to wrap up. And this was brilliant, by the way. So I'm so glad you didn't leave me hanging and you got to jump on here. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as interesting just listening to me all day. So what advice would you give anybody that is looking at you and looking at your career and saying, "I want to follow in your footsteps. I want to," I've met lots of operations people in my time that are really interested in loss prevention and growing in that area of their career. So what advice would you give them to be successful in it?
Sure. So just learn every facet of the business possible that you can, and learn how you can impact it. Take every leadership course that your company offers you, every development course, a Retail U, online course, whatever.
Take Dean's course on Retail U. He wrote a course on Retail U. It's called Asset and People and Asset Protection, and you're the author of it, and it's an amazing course. So I'm just saying,
Thank you.
Post the link.
Just be a lifelong learner. I think that's the number one thing, and have humility. I've interviewed some people for opportunities, and they graduate from college or university, and I call them the silver briefcase generation, where they want to make six figures. That's not how it works. You got to be comfortable with cleaning toilets, mopping floors, unloading a skid of 75 boxes. You've got to learn the business literally from the ground up and be comfortable with that. And it will take you places, but it's up to you. It's 90% you, 10% the company. Drive it, learn it, go above and beyond, and it'll really take you to great heights if that's what you want to do. And I mean, I didn't have any idea what loss prevention or security was, not a clue. Right. And no course was going to teach me that. I had to get into it, learn it, shadow the leaders that were in that role, and decide for myself whether I liked it or not.
Right. Yeah, and my advice is always say yes. When people ask you if you want to be on a project, if you want to do something, I was a yes person. I was like, sign me up for every pilot project, because I'm going to learn something from this. There's that saying in retail, you do the job and then you get the job. That's a real thing, guys. Correct. All of us that have got had a successful leadership career didn't just do what was expected. We did more, and we were high performers and went above and beyond and added value to everybody around us.
Right. And do stuff that's not involved with your function. Like, I've folded jeans, and I've, taken down shelves, and, that wasn't in my job description, but name me one person on the line today whose job description today is the same as when you signed up. Zero, right? They've all changed.
100%.
They change a week in, and we all know that. So, be flexible and adaptable.
So anyway, I just want to say thank you for jumping on, Dean, onto the Positive Effect. And thank you for sharing this amazing leadership journey of yours and your words of advice. If you're not following Dean, then go follow him on LinkedIn. He's got a bigger network than me. I'm kind of jealous of you right now because I'm like, how did you get to 19,000? And also, he's an author on the Retail You platform. He's got a course on there. It's an amazing course. It's really affordable. So if you work in a company, you see this if you see this replay, share it in your retail network. I say this every single week, guys. If you see this, share it, because the more people that find this conversation, the more people we can impact and have a positive effect on, them individually as a person, their business that they work for, and the team in a larger scale. So Dean, I just want to say again, thank you so much for all of your advice and sharing your leadership journey with us today.
Thanks so much, April. I really, really appreciate it. This has been terrific. I've really, really enjoyed this. Thanks again. Have a great day and a great week.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next week. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.